moved to Bolton Wanderers, followed and sort of marked 10 years as a pro while you were there. How had you sort of found life as a professional footballer, but also as a Premier League footballer as well? And did you notice a real difference between the Championship and League, the lower divisions, to that top level sort of off the pitch as well?
There was, but for me, I think that the fact that I married my wife very young, we both met each other very young, we're both grounded people, that nothing really changed. Yes, we could afford nicer things, but for us, no, nothing really changed, other than the fact we were living on the outskirts of Manchester. The kudos that came with playing in the Premier League, at times, I think maybe some fellow professionals that I played with got carried away. If I'd have got carried away, I know that my dad would have smacked me back down. So no, it was never a real issue or something that I looked at in that manner. It was just the fact that I was not only living my dream, but I was living my dream playing in arguably the best league in the world. And that for me was definitely been the pinnacle of my career in terms of the longevity that I had at that level. But on the pitch, yeah, there's big disparities between what was League 1 and 2, between that and the Premier League. I think the higher up you go, Ben, it's definitely more selfish a game becomes, because there's a lot of money at stake, and football sometimes gets misconstrued, I think, between it being a team sport, which it is, but it's arguably the most selfish sport out there, because you are, yes, part of a team, but ultimately you're playing for yourself.
I mean, on to East London next, and a promotion back to the Premier League after dropping down to the Championship, and working under another manager that was tipped and eventually got the England job in Sam Allardyce. How was that year and then afterwards for you?
Probably it's the only time in my career that I've gone to a football club with expectation, because I made the decision to leave Bolton, and it wasn't an easy one because I really enjoyed my time up there, but circumstances at the football club that weren't football related on the pitch dictated that I had to leave, and I decided that West Ham was the club for me. Ridiculously naive, didn't realise how well supported they were, how big the football club was. And that season we were expected to waltz the league. We had the best squad in the league, probably had the biggest budget, and we hit the post. We ended up finishing third by quite a way, beat Cardiff in the semi-final, 2-leg playoff, and then I think Blackpool outplayed us in the final. We ended up scoring a winner in the 87th minute, and I remember there was 44,000 of our fans there, and that was a special, special day to go to Wembley, having previously been there in FA Cup semi-final and got beaten, to turn up there. I think it would have been a season later, and go there and win in that fashion. And yeah, it was great to go and win, but the relief of getting back to the Premier League, knowing that dropping down for one season, I'd made the correct decision to go back and get back in the Premier League with West Ham.
Yeah, and after 3 seasons with West Ham, on to Burnley again, sort of up north-south, and then but working under another experienced manager in Sean Dyche. I'm sort of noticing a pattern in your sort of coaching education here, shall we say?
Yeah, no, Sean is a good man, and that's a big thing that that's big to me. You know, good people, and Sean was one of those, and it was just disappointing when I moved up there. I got offered a year contract at West Ham to stay, and at my age, or at the age I wanted a bit more security for my family. So I took a 2-year contract up at Burnley. Started the first 3 or 4 games, had a really good pre-season, and then my Achilles decided that it had enough. So I had to have an operation, and that was tough because I couldn't help my teammates out on a Saturday. My family was still down this neck of the woods, and I was travelling, not playing. Mentally, for a footballer, that's probably one of the biggest things you've got to deal with. You're in the gym, you're doing your rehab, and you're looking out at the grass, and the lads are having a great time in training. So it was tough, and I managed to get back for probably the last 5 or 6 games that season, but ultimately I couldn't add enough to help us stay out that season. But a great experience, and then the following season, wonderful. ended up winning the league.
Record equalling as well with Burnley, so another promotion to add to your CV as a player.
Yeah, I ended up winning the league. My third promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. Not a bad thing to have on your CV. So, yeah, and then circumstances dictate, finances dictate that football club could go and sign players for wages that exceeded where they had been previously. And Sean and I had a very amicable conversation about it. I understood it, man to man, not a problem. I think that's the way that I've always liked to deal with things. Tell people the truth. What's the worst thing that somebody could say to me? No, I don't want you. Okay, not a problem. Thank you very much for telling me the truth. And I ended up coming back down. And it was a decision that I could have stayed in the Championship, but it would have meant spending another 2 seasons in the north of England, and my kids and family are at an age where I didn't want to miss out on that. So I dropped down to League One.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned family a couple of times here. Do you think that's often something that fans don't necessarily appreciate about the game now? Is that, I mean, you've mentioned money as well, but actually fans will often say he's moving for the money, but actually do you think often the family aspect of footballers actually doesn't get mentioned enough?
I think part of the reason it doesn't get mentioned is because you see the lads on, or you see the football team on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday night, and footballers are, be it right or wrong, are put in a bubble, and they're adored by fans, they're worshipped, so therefore they can't be normal people, they can't have a family life. And that's not a problem with supporters whatsoever, but I think for me, the one thing that's far more important than a game of football is my family. Always has been, it always will be. I go back to having my first child, who she's 13 now. And before I had kids, I'd come home on a Saturday night after we got beaten or something, and I was terrible, wouldn't speak to my wife. And as soon as I had my daughter, something in me changed. It gave me freedom to play football, if I'm honest, because it was no longer the most important thing in my life. The most important thing to me was raising my children correctly. So, as I say, football is great, not a problem. It's given me everything, but it isn't everything. But it's difficult at times, I think, for fans to maybe see that, because they're so passionate for their football club to do well. But for me, moving up and down the country was tough. But it's an occupational hazard. There's far worse jobs in this world than the one that I've held for the last 20 years.
And you sort of talked about a change of perspective. You've gone through a sort of professional change of perspective in more recent times. When did sort of coaching become something on your radar?
When I was at West Ham, about the age of 30, and the reason is because you get to that age in your life and your career, and you're still a young man in life terms, but in football terms, once you get over 30, your legs are gone bent, so everyone tells you. And I thought about it, and I sat down with my wife at the time, and I said to her, I want to go and get my coaching badges, start getting my coaching badges. So from that point up until this day now, it's probably 7.5, 8 years, I've spent most of my summers, which my wife hasn't been happy about, because the courses normally fall on summer holidays for the children or bank holidays. But no, at St George's Park, gaining my coaching badges. I just think that I've been really lucky to play for a very good set of managers. Now, everyone's different, and there's some things you like from some things you don't like from others. So to be able to glean something off the top of that, for me, is something that I can't turn down. Plus, I don't know anything else other than football. Now, I'm not suggesting that there aren't other things that interest me, but football and everything it's given me, I think that the experiences I've gained over 20 years, maybe it's my time to give some back.
I mean, is that the plan in the immediate future, or is there sort of a break in the offing?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I haven't got a crystal ball. I think that if I had the opportunity to move into something, then it would be great. I'm not a person that enjoys doing nothing, sitting at home. That's not me. Can't do that. My wife would want me at home as much as we love each other. She would go wild, I think, if I was at home every day. But no, as I say, Ben, I'm not sure what the future holds. All I know is that I'm excited, slightly apprehensive, because I don't know what's going to happen. But one thing that I will do is just approach whatever comes next with the same work ethic that I have done for the last 20 years in my career. Now that got me to the top. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure it will serve you well. Congratulations on a great career.
Thank you.